Welcome back to the Raven Files. Tonight we return one last time to the Corpse-Nourishing Land. The fifth rule has been given. One eye is open, one eye remains. Shen Yao has discovered the terrible truth. The heart of the forgotten child was never hidden beneath the tomb. It was inside her. Now with Han Rui marked as the witness and Shen Yao marked as the heart. They must follow the final message to the old abandoned hospital, where the last door waits beneath the ground. But some doors do not open to a place. They open to the truth. Turn down the lights. Listen closely and prepare for the final chapter. This is the Corpse-Nourishing Land Part 4, the final door. The red thread key felt warm in Shen Yao's palm. It should not have. Everything else around her was cold. The dawn air above the construction site carried the smell of wet, dust diesel police tape and disturbed earth. Beyond the fence, red and blue lights flashed across the silent machines. Excavators stood frozen around the foundation pit like sleeping animals. Officers shouted somewhere in the distance, but their voices sounded thin and unreal, as if the world above ground had become only a painted backdrop. Shen Yao knelt beside the pit, one hand closed around the key, the other trembling around her cracked phone. The final message still glowed on the broken screen. The fifth rule has been given. Do not give the child your name. Do not keep the child's heart. Dawn has passed. One eye is open, one eye remains. Then the final door is under the hospital. Bring the witness. Bring the heart. Do not bring the mother. Beside her, Han Rui sat on the ground, breathing hard. He was staring at his left wrist. The 5 black marks had stopped moving, but the word beneath them remained. Witness. Thin black letters as if written from inside his skin. Shen Yao slowly looked down at her own wrist. The 5 fingerprints the child had left were gone. In their place over the pulse was a single word. Heart. She pressed her thumb over it. The mark pulsed once beneath her touch. Not painful. Alive. Han Rui looked up. For a moment neither of them spoke. There were no good words left. The land beneath them gave a soft thump, not an earthquake, not machinery. A heartbeat. The police lights flickered. One of the officers near the fence turned, frowning toward the foundation pit. He seemed to hear something, but not enough to understand. He lifted his radio. Static crackled. Then Shen Yao's phone vibrated again. One new line appeared. Do not let them take you away. A second later, another line followed. The hospital remembers. Han Rui pushed himself to his feet. We need to leave. Shen Yao looked toward the police outside the fence. They'll stop us. Then we don't go that way. He looked pale. Mud streaked his face. His hair was wet from the underground water and dust. His left hand shook slightly, but he clenched it into a fist as if refusing to let the mark control him. Shen Yao stood through her legs, almost failed. Your wrist, she said. I know. Does it hurt? Han Rui looked down at the word. Witness. No, his jaw tightened. It feels like I'm remembering something that isn't mine. Shen Yao understood too well. She opened her hand. The red thread key lay across her palm. It was old brass, small, almost ordinary. A faded red thread looped through the head of it. At the end of the thread hung a narrow strip of paper. The paper was damp, but still intact. 3 words were written on it in Professor Chin's handwriting. Room 05 below. Han Rui looked at it. Old hospital, basement level 3. Shen Yao nodded. My mother said Qin hid the final record there before the archive was sealed. And the message said not to bring the mother. Shen Yao looked back at the black patch of soil where the tunnel entrance had vanished. Shen Mei was still down there. So was Shen Lihua. So was An Ning, the forgotten child, the victim, the curse, the thing inside Shen Yao's heart. She can't come with us anyway, Shen Yao said. Hanrui did not answer. Both of them knew that might not be true. The dead had been following Shen Yao since the night began. Her mother's voice had crossed tunnels, underpasses, phones, memories, and locked doors. If the land wanted Shen Mei to follow, walls would not matter. A siren grew louder beyond the fence. Hanrui grabbed Shen Yao's arm and pulled her toward the north side of the site, away from the police cars. They moved behind stacks of rebar concrete barriers and tarps heavy with rain. The ground sucked at their shoes. At the far corner of the construction site, part of the fence had collapsed inward. Beyond it was an alley choked with weeds, old bricks, and broken drainage pipes. Hanrui climbed through first, then helped Shen Yao out. The moment Shen Yao stepped outside the fence, her phone screen went black. She froze. What? The phone died. Hanrui looked at it. For the first time since the messages began, the screen reflected only her face. Pale, dirty, older than she had been yesterday. Then a voice whispered from the speaker. Not loud, not mechanical. A child's voice. Heart. The screen lit again. No message, only a map. A red dot blinked several blocks away. Shen Yu recognized the area. The old municipal hospital. Abandoned for more than 10 years. She had passed it many times without looking too closely. Everyone in the city knew the building. It stood behind temporary walls and faded warning signs, waiting to be demolished, always waiting, never touched. Now she understood why. The land beneath the construction site had roots, and some roots grew toward hospitals. They walked through morning streets that were beginning to wake. Shop owners rolled up metal shutters. Delivery scooters hissed through puddles. Steam rose from breakfast stalls. A woman sold soy milk under a red umbrella. A student in uniform ran past them with earbuds in late for school. The city moved like nothing had happened. Shen Yao almost hated it. How could the world continue when the ground beneath it had opened its mouth? Hanrui kept his head down. Twice he stumbled. Once he stopped in the middle of the sidewalk and looked toward a storm drain as if he had heard someone call his name from below. Shen Yao touched his sleeve. Hanrui. He blinked. I'm fine. You're not. He gave her a humorless smile. Neither are you. A bus passed, spraying dirty water across the curb. For a second, Shen Yao saw another reflection in the window. A child in a pale gown standing behind them. One eye open, one eye closed. Then the bus moved on and the reflection disappeared. Shen Yao tightened her grip on the key. The hospital stood at the end of a narrow road lined with plane trees. Its main gate was chained shut. Old characters on the sign had faded almost grey. The white tiled walls were cracked. Weeds had grown through the front steps. Several windows were broken and plastic sheets fluttered from the frames like strips of dead skin. The building looked ordinary in daylight. That made it worse. A place did not need darkness to be haunted. Some places carried their night inside them. Hanrui checked the gate. Locked. Shen Yao held up the key. He looked at her. "You think it opens this no?" she said. Then she pointed to the side of the building. "There's probably an emergency entrance. Old hospitals always have one." Han Rui looked at her. "You've broken into many abandoned hospitals, and I watch documentaries when I can't sleep." He gave the smallest laugh. It died quickly. They found the emergency entrance behind a row of dead shrubs. The metal door was chained, but the frame had rusted away from the wall. Han Rui used a loose brick to break enough of the corroded bracket for them to squeeze through. Inside, the hospital smelled exactly like Shen Yao's memory. Dust, mold, old disinfectant, something beneath both. Wet soil. She stopped in the doorway. The corridor ahead was long and pale. Broken fluorescent lights hung from the ceiling. Plastic curtains swayed at empty doorways, though there was no wind. The floor was covered in dust except for one path down the center. Small, bare footprints leading inward. Han Rui saw them too. An Ning or the land. "Is there a difference now?" Shen Yao did not answer. They followed the footprints. The first floor had once held reception, emergency treatment, and outpatient rooms. Chairs sat overturned in the waiting area. Old posters on the walls warned people to wash their hands, cover coughs, report fevers. A children's height chart remained beside a doorway. Cartoon animals smiled from the peeling wall. Shen Yao looked away. Her phone map changed. The red dot moved downward. A new message appeared. "Basement access, west stairwell." Han Rui stared at it. "It's helping us now," Shen Yao said. "It's guiding us. That's not better." They found the west stairwell behind a locked fire door. This time the red thread key worked. The key slid into the rusted lock with a soft click. Shen Yao turned it. The door opened before she pushed. Cold air rose from below. The stairwell descended into darkness. On the wall beside the stairs, someone had scratched 5 words into the paint. "Do not count the steps." Han Rui exhaled. "Another rule." Shen Yao looked at the words. "An instruction from the thing that wants to survive." She nodded. "So don't obey it." They began to count. "1," Shen Yao said. Han Rui looked at her. She took the next step, 2. A whisper rose from below. "Do not." 3, Han Rui said. The whisper sharpened. "Do not count." 4, Shen Yao said. The stairwell stretched. The landing below seemed farther away than before. 5, Han Rui said. The air thickened. 6. The lights above them flickered, though there was no electricity. 7. Something small laughed far below. 8. A child began to cry from the first floor hallway behind them. Not An Ning. A different child. A living child. "Help me," the voice sobbed. "I'm lost." Shen Yao gripped the railing. Henry kept his eyes forward. 9, he said. The crying stopped. 10, Shen Yao said. The stairwell snapped back to its normal shape. The landing appeared just below them. Henry swallowed. Good call. Shen Yao looked at the warning again. Every rule tries to make us act from fear, and counting made us act from choice. Maybe that's all we have left. They reached basement level 1, then basement level 2. At basement level 3, the door was different. The upper hospital doors were metal. This one was wood. Old wood. Dark. swollen from damp. A red thread had been tied around the handle, the same kind of thread as the key. A paper tag hung from it. Do not enter without the witness. Han Rui looked at his wrist. The word witness pulsed. Shen Yao put the key into the lock. It did not turn. Han Rui stepped closer. The lock clicked before he touched it. The door opened. Basement level 3 was not part of the hospital anymore. Or perhaps it never had been. The corridor beyond was lined with hospital tiles, but roots had split through them, thick and black, glistening in the dimness. Old patient doors stood open on both sides. Inside them were empty beds with rotten sheets. Some rooms held IV stands. Some held jars. Some held nothing but dirt piled neatly in the center of the floor. A red line ran along the corridor wall, not painted. Thread. It led them forward. Room numbers appeared on rusted plaques. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the corridor ended. Room 05 stood alone. Its door was sealed with layers of talismans, police tape, hospital tape, and red thread. In the center was a lock that matched the key in Shen Yao's hand. But someone had scratched a warning across the door. This one was not from the land. The handwriting was human. Professor Chin's. If you open this door, do not trust the first voice. Shen Yao looked at Han Rui. The first voice, he said. Could be my father. Could be yours. Shen Yao placed the key in the lock. Her hand shook. Han Rui put his marked hand over hers. The word witness touched the word heart. Both marks burned white hot. Shen Yao gasped. The lock turned by itself. The red threads around the door tightened, then snapped. Room 05 opened. Inside was not a hospital room. It was a recording room, or had been made into one. The walls were lined with old soundproofing foam, most of it rotted. A metal table stood in the center. On the table were 3 objects. A reel-to-reel tape recorder, a sealed glass jar filled with black soil, and a small wooden box. Not the heart box. This one was plain, unmarked. Beside it lay a cassette tape labeled in faded handwriting. Final record. Qin Wen Liang. Shen Guang. Police copy. Han Rui's face changed at the name. Shen Guang, he said. Shen Yao could barely speak. My father. The door shut behind them. The tape recorder clicked. It began to turn on its own. A voice emerged through static. Soft, familiar. Yao. Shen Yao stopped breathing. Henri grabbed her arm. Don't trust the first voice. The voice continued. My little sparrow. You came back. Tears filled her eyes instantly. She knew that voice. She had not remembered it clearly for years, but her body knew before her mind did. Her father. Shen Guang. Yao, the voice said again. You don't have to suffer anymore. Open the jar. Pour the soil into the box. The child will sleep. You can go home. Han Rui shook his head. No, the voice softened. You have carried enough. Be my good girl. Let it sleep. Shen Yao's chest hurt. The jar of black soil trembled on the table. The plain wooden box opened slightly. Inside was darkness. Han Rui stepped between Shen Yao and the table. That's not your father. The voice changed. Still Shen Guang's voice, but colder. You don't know my daughter. Han Rui flinched. The voice laughed. You carry stolen bone and call yourself innocent. The word witness on Han Rui's wrist darkened. Shen Yao wiped her tears. You're the first voice, she whispered. The recording paused. Then the voice sighed. A perfect imitation of grief. I am the voice you wanted. Shen Yao closed her eyes. That hurt more than if it had screamed. The room shook, the jar cracked. Black soil pressed against the glass from inside like fingers. Han Rui reached for the tape labelled Final Record. The recorder hissed. A second voice cut through, older, weaker. Professor Chin, if this plays after the first voice, then the seal is failing. The fake voice vanished. The real slowed, then steadied. Qin's recorded voice continued. My name is Qin Wenliang. I leave this record because guilt has memory even when men refuse it. Shen Guang, engineer of the Eastern Foundation project, died in the first chamber below the site. His final words were not fully recovered in the official file. The police copy was damaged. Han De took one fragment. I hid the rest here. Han Rui, whispered Han De. My father. Qin's voice crackled. Officer Handa believed evidence could save the living. He did not understand that some evidence belongs to the dead. When he removed the burial cloth and finger bone, he became witness to a debt. That debt passed to his son because the land always follows what is carried home. Han Rui's eyes closed. Shen Yao looked at him. I'm sorry, she whispered. He shook his head. Keep listening. The tape continued. Shen Mei sealed the heart into Shen Yao to delay the opening of the second eye. She did not save the child. She did not destroy the land. She made a living coffin. The child's name was partially transferred with the heart. This is why Shen Yao survived. This is why Shen Yao forgot. The room grew colder. The walls exhaled. Qin's voice became softer. But there is one path left. It cannot be forced. It cannot be done through fear. The heart must choose. The witness must return what was stolen. The mother must not cross the final door because her guilt will try to bargain again. A sound came from the hallway outside room 05. Slow footsteps, wet, dragging. Shen Yao turned toward the door. Han Rui whispered, No, the handle moved. Once, twice. Then Shen Mei's voice came from the other side. Yao! Shen Yao stepped back. The warning returned to her mind. Do not bring the mother! Shen Mei knocked softly. Yao opened the door. Han Rui's face was tight. She followed us. Qin's recording continued beneath her mother's voice. The final name was completed by Shen Guang before the chamber collapsed. He spoke it not as a command, but as a promise. If An Ning is named fully, and if the heart is returned willingly, the land loses its mouth. But if the return is incomplete, or if the witness refuses the debt, the child opens both eyes, and the land feeds again. Shen Mei knocked harder. Please, she whispered. I can help. Shen Yao looked at the door. Mom Han Rui moved between her and the door. No, Shen Mei began to cry outside. I know I did wrong, I know. But I am your mother. Let me make it right, the tape hissed. A new voice came through. Her father. Real this time, not perfect, not smooth. Weak. Recorded in pain. Mei, if you hear this, don't follow her. The knocking stopped. Shen Yao covered her mouth. Shen Guang's voice trembled but remained clear. You will want to choose for her again. You will call it love. You will call it sacrifice. Don't. Let our daughter choose. Let the child choose. Let the dead stop obeying the fear of the living. Outside the door, Shen Mei made a broken sound. Not a monster's sound. A woman's. A mother's. Shen Guang's recording continued. Yao, if you hear this, I am sorry. I gave you a burden that no child should carry. I told myself it was only until someone brave enough could give it back. But you were the brave one even then. You held a name when the whole world tried to erase it. Shen Yao sobbed once. Han Rui looked away, eyes wet. The tape crackled. Her full name is An Ning, but the name alone is not enough. You must speak what was taken from her. She was not a curse first. She was a child first. The land made her mouth because no one else would speak for her. The jar of black soil cracked again. The wooden box on the table opened wider. The door behind them shook. Shen Mei whispered through the wood, Yao, please. Shen Guang's voice lowered. When you stand before her, do not say I return the curse. Do not say I destroy the land. Say I remember you. Say I return what fear stole. Then place your marked hand over the empty heart box and let the witness place the stolen bone beside it. If the heart chooses to leave you, do not pull it back. The tape slowed. Then her father said the final words. Yao, my little sparrow. Living does not mean keeping everything that saved you. Sometimes living means giving back what was never yours, and trusting that what remains is still you. The recorder clicked. The tape ended. Room 05 fell silent. Then Shen Mei screamed. The door splintered inward. Han Rui grabbed the wooden box from the table. Shen Yao grabbed the cassette tape and the red thread key. The jar of black soil shattered. Dark soil poured across the floor in a moving wave. It formed fingers, then arms, then faces. Not fully. Almost. Shen Mei stood in the doorway, wrapped in black roots from the waist down. Her eyeless face turned toward Shen Yao. Don't do it, she said. Behind her the corridor was gone. In its place was the burial chamber. The hospital and the tomb had folded into each other. 5 coffins waited beyond the door. The central stone box waited. An Ning waited beside it. One eye open, the second almost awake. Shen Yao understood. Room 05 had never been the final destination. It was the final permission. The last door had opened back into the place where everything began. Han Rui held the wooden box tightly. We go through, Shen Yao looked at her mother. Shen Mei shook her head. If you give it back, you may die. I may. You don't know what will be left. No, Shen Yao said. I don't. Shen Mei reached for her. I can take it. Give it to me. Let me carry it. Let me finally do something right. The marks on Shen Yao's wrist burned. The phone, still in her pocket, buzzed. Without taking it out, she knew what it would say. "Do not bring the mother." Shen Yao looked at Shen Mei. "You still want to choose for me?" Shen Mei froze. Shen Yao's voice broke, but she kept speaking. "All my life you chose silence. You chose forgetting. You chose hiding the truth because you were afraid I would break. But I'm already broken, Mum, and I'm still here." Shen Mei trembled. "I only wanted you to live." "I know." The words did not forgive everything, but they were true. "I know," Shen Yao said again, "but this choice is mine." For a moment, Shen Mei looked as if she might refuse. The roots around her tightened. The land inside her wanted the old bargain. It wanted a mother's fear. It wanted love turned into a cage. Then Shen Mei stepped aside. It cost her something. Shen Yao could see it. The roots pulled hard enough to bend her backward, but she stayed standing. "Go," Shen Mei whispered. Han Rui passed through first. Shen Yao followed. The burial chamber was no longer hidden beneath the construction site. It was everywhere. Hospital tiles covered parts of the ancient walls. Excavation mud seeped through the floor. Red thread hung from the roots like veins. Old medical curtains swayed between coffins. Police tape wrapped around stone pillars. Every place touched by the land had been dragged into one final room. The 5 small coffins stood open. The central stone box had split completely. The wooden heart box inside was empty. But now it beat louder. Waiting. An Ning stood behind it. Her one open eye watched Shen Yao. The second eye trembled beneath the smooth skin. Around the chamber stood the dead. Not corpses, not ghosts exactly. Memories shaped like people. Zhou Ping, the missing worker. Professor Chin Thinner, now almost transparent red threads trailing from his wrists. Shen Lihua holding what remained of her blackened hand. Officer Han Han Rui's father standing in a mud-stained police uniform with his head bowed. And Shen Guang, Shen Yao's father. He stood near the wall where the roots had once held him. Younger than Qin, older than her memory, pale, tired, but smiling through grief. Shen Yao stopped. "Dad." He looked at her. His mouth moved. No sound came. The dead could witness, but not choose. That was for the living. Han Rui saw his father across the chamber. His face hardened. Officer Handa lowered his head further. Han Rui took one step toward him. "Why?" he asked. His father's shadow did not answer. The land answered for him. A voice rose from the coffins. "Because evidence must be kept." Another voice. "Because truth matters." Another, "Because fear always takes a piece home." Han Rui shook his head. No. He reached into the wooden box he carried. Inside, wrapped in grey burial cloth, lay the small finger bone his father had taken. Han Rui's hand trembled. "My father thought he was preserving evidence," he said. Shen Yao stood beside him, but he took part of her. "Yes." Officer Handa's shadow lifted his face. There were tears on it. Han Rui looked at him for a long time. Then he turned away from his father and faced An Ning. "This was not ours," he said. He walked to the central stone box and placed the grey cloth beside the empty heart box. The word witness on his wrist burned black. Han Rui gasped and fell to one knee. The chamber shook. An Ning's one open eye shifted to him. Witness, she whispered. Han Rui forced himself to look at her. I saw what my father took, he said. I return it. The grey burial cloth unfolded by itself. The bone inside dissolved into dust. Not black, white. The dust rose in the air and moved toward An Ning. It touched her small right hand. For the first time, fingers formed fully, not black, human. The word witness on Han Rui's wrist cracked. The 5 marks beneath it faded but did not vanish. A scar remained. His debt had been acknowledged, not erased. Shen Yao understood. Some things did not disappear because they were forgiven. They became scars because they were finally allowed to heal. Now every eye in the chamber turned to her. The heart. Her phone fell from her pocket and landed face up on the wet stone. The screen lit. Last rule. Do not trust the child. Then the words flickered. Changed. Do not trust the mother. Changed again. Do not trust the father. Do not trust the witness. Do not trust the name. The messages came faster. Do not trust yourself. Do not give it back. You will be empty. You will die. You will be nothing. Shen Yao watched the screen. Then she stepped on it. The phone cracked under her heel. The light went out. The chamber fell silent. Han Rui looked up at her. Shen Yao took a breath. For the first time, no message told her what to do. No rule, no warning, no voice from the land. Only her own heartbeat. And beneath it another, small, patient, An Ning's. Shen Yao approached the empty heart box. The moment she stepped near it, pain opened in her chest. Not sharp, deep, as if an old root had grown through her ribs and was now being gently pulled free. She gripped the edge of the stone box. Han Rui tried to stand. Yao! Don't stop me, I won't. But he moved closer anyway. But not to stop her, to stay. Shen Yao looked at An Ning. The child's face was still incomplete. One eye open, one eye sealed. No mouth but a voice that could now speak. Do you hate me? Shen Yao asked. An Ning tilted her head. For a moment she seemed only like a child trying to understand a question too large for her. No, she whispered. Did you want to hurt people? The open eye filled with tears. I was hungry. Shen Yao nodded slowly. The answer was not innocence. It was not guilt. It was something older than both. She looked at the dead around them. So many people had fed this hunger. Some out of greed. Some out of fear. Some out of love. Some because they had no power to refuse. Shen Yao placed her marked wrist over the empty heart box. The word heart glowed beneath her skin. She spoke clearly. An Ning. The chamber trembled. Peace, Shen Yao said softly. That was your name before they turned you into hunger. An Ning's open eye widened. Shen Yao continued. You were not the land. You were not the curse. You were not a rule. You were not a warning on my phone. The roots above them writhed. The ground groaned. You were a child. The second eye twitched. You were buried without your name. The dead lowered their heads. You were used by the living. Shen Mei sobbed behind her. You were used by the dead. The coffins shook. And then my mother put your heart inside me because she was afraid to lose me. Shen Yao's voice broke, but she did not stop. I remember you. The heart box opened wider. Inside was nothing but darkness. I return what fear stole. The pain in Shen Yao's chest became unbearable. She fell forward, catching herself on the stone. Han Rui grabbed her shoulder. Yao! Don't pull me back, she gasped. He froze. Every instinct in him wanted to save her. That was the trap. The land had survived for centuries by turning love into refusal. He let go, but he stayed beside her. Shen Yao pressed her marked hand into the empty box. Something inside her answered. A beat. Then another. The chamber filled with light. Not white, not holy. Warm. Like sunrise through closed eyelids. Shen Yao screamed. The mark heart split open in black lines across her wrist. Not bleeding, but unraveling. A thread of red light pulled from her skin into the box. It stretched from her pulse through her arm into her chest and deeper. Images burst through her, her father lifting her onto his shoulders, her mother cutting fruit in the kitchen, a fever dream of a child at the window, a birthday candle she had forgotten, a hospital hallway, a woman crying beside her bed, Professor Chin tying red threads until his fingers bled, Han Rui as a boy waiting for a father who never returned, An Ning running through tall grass before the land, a woman calling her name, An Ning laughing, An Ning falling, An Ning being carried underground, An Ning waiting for someone to say she had existed. The red light pulled harder. Shen Yao felt something tear loose from the deepest part of her. For one terrifying moment she thought her heart had stopped. There was no heartbeat, no breath, no pain, only emptiness. Then the wooden heart box beat. Once, the chamber cracked. An Ning gasped. A mouth formed on her face, small, human. Then her second eye opened. Both eyes had opened, but she was no longer the land's mouth. She was only An Ning. The world did not end. The land screamed, not in triumph, in starvation. The roots recoiled from the walls. Black soil poured upward into the air, breaking apart into dust. The 5 coffins shook as if something beneath them was trying to escape and could not. An Ning stood in the center of the chamber with both eyes open. Not empty eyes, not soil, human eyes, dark, wet, terrified, free. She looked at Shen Yao. "Thank you," she whispered. Shen Yao collapsed. Han Rui caught her before she hit the stone. Yao. Her skin was cold, too cold. He pressed 2 fingers to her neck. "Nothing. No," he said. The land laughed, a low sound from beneath the floor. The heart had left its vessel. Now the vessel was empty. Shen Mei screamed. She broke free from the roots and crawled toward Shen Yao, dragging half the chamber's darkness with her. "No, no, I told you," she reached for Shen Yao's chest. Han Rui grabbed her wrist. "Don't," Shen Mei snarled like something dead. "I can bring it back." That's how this started. "She is my daughter, and An Ning was someone's daughter too," Han Rui said. The words stopped her, not because they were new, because Shen Yao had said them first. Shen Mei looked at Shen Yao's still face. All the horror left her. Only grief remained. "My baby," she whispered. An Ning stood beside the heart box, both eyes open, holding the red light that had come from Shen Yao. It pulsed in her small hands like a living ember. Shen Mei looked at the child. For the first time she saw her, not the curse, not the thing that took her husband, not the hunger under the land. A child holding another child's life. Shen Mei bowed her head. "I'm sorry," she said. The chamber froze. An Ning looked at her. Shen Mei crawled forward, not toward Shen Yao now, but toward An Ning. "I took from you because I could not bear losing her. I called it love. But love that buries another child is still a grave." The roots reached for Shen Mei again. This time she did not fight. She looked at Han Rui. "The heart cannot return to Yao the same way," she said. "What does that mean if it goes back unchanged? The land follows. It needs a crossing, a last burial." Han Rui's face went pale. "No," Shen Mei smiled faintly. "I have been dead since the night I chose wrong." Shen Yao lay motionless in Han Rui's arms. He shook his head. "She won't forgive me if I let you do this. She does not need to forgive me." Shen Mei looked at her daughter. "She needs to live without carrying what I buried." An Ning held the red light. Shen Mei opened her arms. "Give it through me." An Ning hesitated. For a second she looked like a frightened child again. Shen Mei whispered, "I remember you, An Ning." The child's mouth trembled. Shen Mei repeated it. "I remember you." Then An Ning placed the red light into Shen Mei's chest. Shen Mei arched backward. Light filled the places where her eyes had been covered with soil. The soil cracked, not to reveal wounds, but tears. Real tears. The red light passed through her, changing. The black roots wrapped around Shen Mei, but this time they burned where they touched her. She reached out and placed one hand over Shen Yao's heart. "Live," Shen Mei whispered. The red light entered Shen Yao. What returned to Shen Yao was no longer An Ning's heart. It was only the life that had grown around it. Her own life finally separated from the curse. Han Rui felt her body jolt. One heartbeat, then another. Shen Yao inhaled violently. Han Rui nearly collapsed with relief. Yao She opened her eyes. For a moment she looked confused. Then she saw her mother. Shen Mei was standing now, though the roots had lifted her off the ground. Light spilled from her chest. Her hospital gown fluttered in a wind that smelled like rain and incense. "Mom," Shen Yao whispered. Shen Mei smiled. Not devastated this time, not monstrous, just tired. "My daughter," she said, "now you can live." "No." Shen Yao tried to stand, but Han Rui held her back. "No, you can't. I already did," Shen Mei said. The roots pulled her toward the central stone box. An Ning watched with both eyes open. Shen Mei looked at the child. "I buried you once," she said. "Let me bury the hunger now." She stepped into the stone box. The black soil rose around her. Shen Yao screamed and reached forward. Han Rui held her as the chamber shook apart. Shen Mei did not look afraid. For the first time, the soil did not climb over her like punishment. It settled around her like a closing door. Professor Qin's spirit stepped forward and placed one red thread over the stone box. Shen Lihua joined him, her blackened hand whole again in death. Officer Handa lowered his police badge onto the stone. Zhou Ping and the other dead placed their paper name tags in a circle. Shen Guang stepped toward Shen Yao. He still could not speak, but he smiled. Then he placed his hand over his heart and bowed his head. Goodbye. The central stone box closed. This time it did not imprison Shen Mei. It closed like a door finally allowed to shut. The land screamed one final time. The sound rose through the chamber, through the hospital, through the construction site, through every root and pipe and forgotten crack beneath the city. Then it stopped. The silence that followed was not empty. It was peace. The 5 small coffins crumbled into dust. The black roots turned grey, then white, then broke apart like ash. The walls of the chamber became transparent, layered with all the places the curse had touched. The archive, the underpass, the hospital corridor, the excavation pit, the old field before the city grew over it. One by one they faded. An Ning stood before Shen Yao. She looked almost ordinary now, a little girl in a pale, clean gown, no soil, no black fingers, no missing face. She held the faded red bracelet in her hands. The silver nameplate shone softly. An Ning. Shen Yao knelt in front of her. "I'm sorry I forgot," she said. An Ning shook her head. "You kept it." "I didn't know." "You still kept it." Shen Yao cried silently. An Ning touched Shen Yao's wrist. The word heart faded. Only a small pale scar remained over her pulse shaped like a closed eye. An Ning turned to Han Rui. She touched his wrist too. The word witness faded. 5 faint scars remained. "Remember," An Ning said. Han Rui nodded. "I will." A door appeared behind the child. Not the hospital door. Not the tomb door. Something softer. Light through a wooden doorway. A field beyond. Tall grass. A woman's voice called from far away. "An Ning." The child turned. For the first time she smiled. Then she ran through the door. The chamber collapsed into white light. Shen Yao woke under open sky. Rain fell gently on her face. Not the heavy rain from the memory. Morning rain. Clean. She was lying on the ground outside the old hospital. Han Rui lay beside her coughing. The hospital behind them groaned. Its cracked windows trembled. Then slowly the entire building settled inward. Not violently, not like a disaster. More like a tired body lying down. Walls folded. Roof beams sank. Dust rose in a pale cloud. When it cleared, the hospital was still standing. But something had changed. The building no longer felt watched. The front gate hung open. Police sirens approached in the distance. Shen Yao sat up. Her body ached everywhere, but the terrible second heartbeat inside her was gone. For the first time in her life, her chest felt like it belonged only to her. Han Rui touched his wrist. The scars remained. "Is it over?" he asked. Shen Yao looked toward the hospital. The red thread key lay in the mud between them. Its thread had turned white. "I think the land is closed." "That's not the same as over." "No," she said. "It isn't." The police arrived 10 minutes later. No one understood what they found. They found 2 exhausted people outside an abandoned hospital. They found a collapsed basement sealed by roots that had turned to dry ash. They found old evidence boxes from a case that had never officially existed. They found police records marked missing. They found excavation photographs. They found a reel-to-reel recorder and a cassette labeled Final Record. They found hundreds of paper name tags preserved in a room that should have been empty. At the construction site, workers later found the foundation pit had changed overnight. The black soil was gone. The ground tested normal. No strange moisture, no preserved bodies. No hollow sounds beneath the concrete. But when archaeologists reopened the deepest chamber under official supervision, they found one sealed stone box at the center. No one could open it. Not with tools, not with machines, not with permission. Carved on the lid were hundreds of names. At the center were 3: Shen Mei, Shen Guang, An Ning. The city never understood what had truly been found. Officials called it a protected archaeological site. The newspapers gave it a softer name. The lost name tomb. No one used the phrase Corpse-Nourishing Land. No one except Shen Yao and Han Rui. Weeks passed. Shen Hua was declared missing. Shen Mei was declared dead. Shen Yao signed forms until her hand hurt. She answered police questions. She lied when truth would have made her sound insane. Han Rui told the same lies beside her. Sometimes they did not need to speak. They had both learned how silence could protect. They had also learned how silence could rot. So they told one truth where it mattered. They gave the names. Every name from Chin's notebook, every worker, every officer, every child, every unknown body listed in the hidden archive. A memorial wall was built outside the preserved site. Not grand, not political, just stone. Names carved deep enough that rain could not erase them. On the day the wall opened to the public, Shen Yao stood before it with a white flower in her hand. Han Rui stood beside her. His wrist scar was covered by his sleeve, but she knew it was there. Her own scar rested over her pulse. Sometimes at night it ached, not like a curse, like memory. Shen Yao placed the flower below An Ning's name. For a moment she thought she heard a child laugh. Not from below, from somewhere far away. Bright. Free. Han Rui looked at her. You heard it too. She nodded. They stood in silence. Then Han Rui said, What will you do now? Shen Yao looked at the memorial wall. For years her life had been built around absences. A father who died in the wrong story. A mother who hid the truth. A childhood with missing rooms. A heart that did not entirely belong to her. Now she had answers. Not clean ones, not kind ones, but answers. I don't know, she said. It was the first honest future she had ever had. Han Rui smiled faintly. That's allowed. She looked at him. What about you? He flexed his marked wrist. I think I'll stop chasing ghosts for a while. Can you know? He sighed. But I can stop pretending I'm only chasing them for work. Shen Yao almost smiled. The sun slipped through clouds above the construction site. For once the light reached the ground. That night Shen Yao returned to her apartment alone. She expected fear. The hallway was quiet. The elevator mirror reflected only her. Her door opened normally. No wet footprints, no soil smell, no message on the wall. Inside she placed the red thread key in a small wooden box on her desk. The thread was white now. She set Professor Chin's notebook beside it. Then she took out an old photograph the police had returned from evidence. The excavation photo. Her mother younger holding her small hand. Her child self in a yellow raincoat. A pit behind them. A world about to break. Shen Yao placed the photo in a drawer. Not hidden. Not displayed. Kept. There was a difference. Before sleeping, she looked at her phone. The screen had been replaced. No cracks, no red glow, no rules. She turned it off. In the darkness, she listened. For the first time since childhood, there was no second heartbeat. Only her own. Slow. Human. Enough. She slept and dreamed of a field. Tall grass moved under a clear sky. A little girl ran ahead of her laughing. Not faceless, not frightening, just a child with a red bracelet on her wrist. At the edge of the field, Shen Mei stood beneath a tree. Beside her was Shen Guang. They did not call Shen Yao closer. They did not ask her to stay. They only watched. Shen Mei lifted one hand. A goodbye. A blessing. A release. Shen Yao woke before dawn with tears on her face. Her room was quiet. Outside her window, the city was beginning again. For one moment, everything was still. Then her phone buzzed. Shen Yao froze. Slowly she turned her head. The phone lay on the bedside table. Screen dark. It buzzed again. Her breath caught. She reached for it with a shaking hand. The screen lit. One new message. Not read, not cracked. Not from an unknown number. From Han Rui. Are you awake? Shen Yao stared at it. Then she exhaled. A small broken living breath. She typed back yes. A moment later, Han Rui replied. Good. I woke up thinking I heard something under the floor. It was only the pipes, I think. Shen Yao sat in silence. Beneath the apartment, pipes clicked as the building warmed. A car passed outside. Someone upstairs dragged a chair across the floor. Ordinary sounds. Living sounds. She looked at the scar on her wrist. The closed eye shape was faint now, almost gone. She typed, If it comes back, we name it first. Han Rui replied, Deal. Shen Yao put the phone down. The first light of morning touched the wall. For a brief second, the shadow near her desk looked like a small child standing there. Then the light shifted and it was only the chair. Shen Yao did not look away. She did not run. She did not obey fear. She whispered into the room, Rest An Ning. The apartment remained silent. No message came. No soil moved. No child cried. Outside the city woke above all its buried names. And under the sealed stone box, beneath the memorial wall, beneath earth that was no longer hungry, the dead finally slept. The end.